Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for ELCC and for LuCE, Lung Cancer Europe Patient Umbrella Organization, for inviting me to participate and to share my perspective of how to implement a lung cancer screening program out of the US. We will tell you about how we did it or still doing it in Israel. And my name is Shani Shilo. I am the founder and CEO of the Israeli Lung Cancer Foundation. And I established the patient organization because my husband was diagnosed 9.5 years ago with lung cancer at the age of 43. So my husband was a non-smoker, but we know that 80% of smokers or ex-smokers will have lung cancer. I mean, 80% of the lung cancer patients are smokers or ex-smokers. So this is my disclosure. I serve in a few advisory boards. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about the Israeli Lung Cancer Foundation. So we established the organization in 2014. As I said, my husband was diagnosed in 2011, and after understanding the needs and the challenges, we decided with our oncologist that we need a patient organization in Israel dedicated just for lung cancer. So it's the first lung cancer patient organization in Israel. So what we have in our patient organization, first of all, we have different types of information. We have our website, we have a Facebook page, we have a community. The one thing that was missing very much was a sharing community of patients and caregivers. And we established a very strong and compassionate community, which is on a Facebook group called Breath Friends. We established mentoring programs, and we have support groups. In the past year, they were on Zoom. We have a call center for rights for our families. We have our conferences. We have a yearly conference in Israel, and we also participate at the World Lung. And there's a photo there from the last live World Lung from Barcelona. And we have also another support program called Not Alone, where we have social workers support for patients, everything with no cost. And of course, we have many other activities. So let me tell you a bit about lung cancer in Israel. So you see on the map, this is Israel, where the arrow shows. We are a very small country in the Middle East. Our population is around 9 million people, and we have in every year around 2,500 new lung cancer cases in Israel. We're about 2,000 lung cancer deaths in Israel. Like other countries in the world, lung cancer is the leading cause of death from cancer in Israel. And the prevalence of smoking in Israel is 22.5%. So because we know also in Israel that 80% of lung cancer patients are smokers or ex-smokers, there is a rationale for having a lung cancer screening program. So every country is a bit different, and let me share some perspectives on the health system in Israel. So first of all, in 1995, there was a national health insurance law set up, and it means that that everybody in Israel has a health insurance. It's a universal, compulsory health insurance. Every Israeli citizen, Jews and Arabs, will be covered. It is financed by general taxation, and also citizens pay a healthcare tax, a percentage of their income, and also people who do not work, who are unemployed, receive this health insurance. And if we look at the picture below, we see that we have the Ministry of Health, we have Ministry of Finance, we have hospitals, and we have health funds, 4 health funds in Israel that support the health insurance, and every citizen can choose to what health insurance in Israel he wants to be accepted to. Okay, so we understand we have a health system and a health insurance, and another thing we have is called a health basket. What is the health basket? It's the entire range of services, drugs, medical equipment, and devices that the insured public receive. Every end of a year, a health basket committee is appointed to review and approve the new services, treatments, drugs to be included in the following year health basket. The services are reviewed for their health benefit and are chosen to fit a limited budget. For example, last year, new health technologies, drugs, etc., the budget was around 125 million euros. So if we look at the actions, what did we do? We first decided that this is our mission. We understood that there is enough evidence for lung cancer screening program to incorporate the lung cancer screening program in Israel. We as a patient organization decided that it is our mission to promote the program because, as we know, lung cancer screening, it's not a drug. It's not something which is, it's more of a multidisciplinary screening program. And because on one end, it has many supposed partners, it also has no partners. So we decided that this is one of our biggest missions of the patient organization. And we also understood we have to work together with experts. So the patient organization worked with our 2 oncologists in our board management, which are the oncologist Professor Nir Peled, another lung cancer oncologist, Dr. Abed Agbaria. And we also worked with a very excellent radiologist in Israel, Professor Dorit Shacham, who is an expert on lung cancer screening also in the world. So one of our actions was having a small pilot study that we did, the patient organization, with Asuta Medical Centers, and we published the initiative on Facebook. We funded it, and patients who saw the call on Facebook called. Filled out a form, then a nurse came back to them. You can see at the bottom of the slide, the nurse came back to them and double checked that they need to be screened, meaning above the age of 55 with a 30-year PAC. And then they got the screening, they got a report, and they got a doctor explain to them the results and tell them, and the nurse go back to them and explain what are the next steps. And what we found is also in our small pilot study is that the lung cancer detection rate was compatible with NLST and Nelson's results, and also the false positive percentage. Another thing we did is having campaigns. So lung cancer screening is needed, but we need to get the public be aware that they should be screened. So we had for a few years campaigns running on digital media, our Facebook and other news websites, etc. Here's a short
כבר
video.
ביקשת ממנו מיליון פעם שיפסיק לעשן. עדיין לא אמרת לו ללכת להיבדק. בדיקה פשוטה לגילוי מוקדם של סרטן ריאה יכולה להציל חיים. האם האנשים החשובים לכם נמצאים בקבוצת הסיכון? גלו עכשיו.
So this was in Hebrew, calling people to come and get checked. And then they had a website page where they could check again if they need to be screened, and where they can go get screened privately, because this is still not funded by our health system. Other actions along the years were parliament activities, exhibitions, meetings with Ministry of Health, petitions, a lot of press showing people that if they had the checkup, they could have been rescued. And the main activity was filing for the Israeli Health Basket Committee every year, filing the plan to have a lung cancer screening program in Israel under the health system with no cost. So it started in the filing for the year of 2017. And back then they decided that there's not enough evidence. But because we filed, the Health Basket appointed the first committee to evaluate the screening program, who decided, yes, this is something we have to have in the future. 2018, filing again, and the result was no funding, no screening. 2019, filing again, no funding, no screening. And of course, all these files are work being done, reports, economic reports, etc. 2020, eventually, last year, the Health Basket Committee decided to fund a screening program in Israel. But unfortunately for all of us, COVID-19 hit us beginning of 2020, and everything was on hold, including the screening program. I'm happy to inform that that with continuing of our struggle and talking with the Ministry of Health, the pilot study, the Israeli pilot study screening program is launched just now in Israel. In February, the program was given a name called TIGAR. TIGAR means in English challenge, which is an applied program for early detection of lung cancer. And the program was launched. And Ms. Liora Valinsky, who is the National Director of Public Health Nursing, was appointed by the Ministry of Health to be head of the program, and she is an excellent person to promote the program. A steering committee was just announced 2 days ago, and also the patient organization, we are part of the steering committee, and in April will be our first meeting. So if we summarize, this has been a long journey and it is still going on, but a few things that led us along these years was, first of all, we decided that we need to promote lung cancer screening. We highly believed in our cause. We understood that we have to be activists, and we were determined and persistent. For 5 years, we were filing again and again and getting no's and getting low ranks and petitions and everything. And eventually this year, just a month ago, a pilot screening in Israel is being launched called TIGAR program by the Ministry of Health. And upon its success, it will then be incorporated in our health system. So this is excellent news. Just for, I'm so happy to share it with ELCC. Still work to be done, but this is a very, very big progress. So thank you all for listening.